Emily Locke, your boyfriend's favorite wrestler, and this is the Fans View Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans View Podcast. Today's guest is a woman that has quickly begun making a name for herself on the Florida independent scene and beyond. Since debuting in 2021, she's worked all over the state of Florida and actually has crossed the pond a few times to work over there in the UK. She's a self-proclaimed queen of Exodus, not to mention your boyfriend's favorite wrestler. Please welcome to the show, Miss Emily Locke. Emily, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing much better than I was probably a week ago because I just recovered from being sick. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm so glad we were able to make this work. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am so good. I could be better from a sickness standpoint, but I think everybody in the country's sick right now. So
You know what? Probably it's like the beginning of the summer. It's like, you get to be excited that it's summer and then it's like, haha, sorry, you're sick.
everybody's sick. Plus
Exactly.
we spent multiple days in Jacksonville, Florida, so of course we're sick.
With
What do you
all those people, there were so many people there. Like that's probably where we picked it up with those disgusting people in Jacksonville.
For sure. Shout out River City Wrestling Con.
Yes.
Emily, like I said, I'm so excited to have you on tonight. For listeners that might be meeting you for the first time, who is Emily Locke in the ring and outside of the ring?
So Emily in the ring, she's not very nice. To be straightforward, she is not a nice girl, but she's also your boyfriend's favorite wrestler. So all the boyfriends are always in my DMs. They're giving me flowers, they're giving me chocolates, they're giving me teddy bears, and every single time I'm walking ringside, the boyfriends are like, and the girlfriends are mad. So that's a big problem for the girls, not for me. But the boys never get a chance. The boys never get a chance. And Emily, she likes to corners a little bit, and I mean my shirt's pretty fitting. She's a lovable heel. But outside of the ring, as you can tell, I'm not that mean. But I can always be mean if I need to. I do have a normal day-to-day job. I'm not gonna like go into it. But I have a cat. He's my absolute life. His name is Butterbeer, so that's a little
Love
homage to
that.
one of my favorite things is Harry Potter. I love Coraline. Coraline's my favorite movie.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are just a little bit of things, and then I guess Emily in the ring is a champion too.
I love that, and got to tell all the viewers. The first thing I told Emily when she logged on tonight, you have the best background I think that any of our guests have had yet.
Thanks so
So
much.
that is top notch. To kind of start with your wrestling career, what first sparked that interest in pro wrestling? Like, was there a match or a moment, or how'd you kind of get bitten by the bug?
So I don't have a typical like upbringing with wrestling like most people who are actual wrestlers like do. I didn't grow up watching wrestling. I do remember bits and pieces of my childhood that my uncle would throw on like Raw, SmackDown and everything like that, but I wouldn't always watch it. My interest in wrestling started when I was probably in college. I met a group of friends in college and they introduced me to professional wrestling, and I went to my first show. And what's crazy about it is my first show really made me fall in love with wrestling. And the main event was Jay Lethal. And if you didn't know, Jay Lethal was one who trained me. So it was like a full circle moment when I was able to get trained by Jay. And like I would say, essentially, Jay was the one who made me really fall in love with wrestling. I fell in love with wrestling with Ring of Honor for sure. That was like kind of like my upbringing with wrestling. And I watched a lot of NXT as well at that point. So, but yeah, I would say like 2015, 2016 is when I really started watching wrestling. And then it just like sparked. I never thought I would become a wrestler. And then I moved to Florida and I was like, I probably could do this thing. And I looked up wrestling schools. And within like 2 weeks of me deciding to be a wrestler, I went to school and then COVID shut the world down. So
Oh,
that was my
fantastic timing.
upbringing in wrestling.
I love that.
Yeah.
That kind of segues to my next question pretty well. When did you obviously I know you trained with Jay. When did you start training and what brought you to his school specifically? Obviously you're in Florida, you throw a
Mhm.
quarter, you'll hit 10 wrestling schools.
Exactly. So what brought me to his school was I was researching schools, and to be honest with you, like I'm in the Tampa area and I didn't want to travel too far to like Orlando and all that stuff. So there were two wrestling schools and I knew Jay and I was like, I could be trained by Jay Lethal. Of course I'm going to do that. So I looked it up, I called, and the lady who was running it was like, come in, do an orientation. I did the orientation, got the knee pads, got the shooters, and I was like, we're gonna do this. And then I signed up, went to 4 classes. It was 2 weeks of classes, 4 classes, and then they were like,
Shut
sorry,
it
you can't
down.
do anything anymore. So
Yeah.
we didn't do training for a little bit, obviously because of like the strict lockdown restrictions. And once they just said that we could start doing like groups of 10, they split my class in half, and so my class was half and half. Some of us would go Monday, Wednesday, some of us would go Tuesday, Thursday, and then finally by the end of it, we came all together. So my training lasted a little bit longer than it typically would have, because
Right.
typically it would have been like 4 days a week instead of 2 days a week. So, but it was a great experience. I'm very grateful for the experience.
All's well that ends well, right?
Yes, exactly. We made it though. That's all that matters.
We all made it collectively. Yeah.
Yes.
So you've had the opportunity to wrestle for, quite a few independent promotions, and like you
Mhm.
said, even across the pond in the UK.
Mhm.
What have been some of your favorite locker rooms or companies to work for?
I would definitely say that one of my favorite promotions to work, like favorite places to work, was definitely the UK. I know it's like, of course she's gonna say that, but wrestling over there was so different and such like the fans were so into it, and I was wrestling for like 3.5 years before I did that, and I went over to the UK and I worked my very second the first show I worked was a night show, which is typical in the US, but my second
Right.
show was a middle of the day show, and it packed out and every fan was on their feet screaming, and I'm like, what is this? And so I was talking to all the wrestlers and like, this is normal. And I'm like, what? Like it was such a different experience. The fans were singing songs. They had songs for all these different wrestlers. And I'm like, it was like, like the soccer chants that you would hear.
Yeah.
And it was such a different world. Like the fans weren't on their phones because, you see that sometimes they're just scrolling through their phones. The fans were so into wrestling. It was just such an amazing experience. So I would say like the UK probably is on the top, but the Guardians Legacy is also one of my favorite locker rooms to work for. I've been consistent with the Guardians Legacy since they started back in August of last year, and August 2 years ago, 2 years ago, sorry, 2 years ago. And it's just grown and grown and grown. So I've been very grateful to be a part of that. And then I have to give an homage to this one right here, Tampa Bay Pro. That was my very first ever show. That was my debut, and I've been with the company for 4 years, so I have to give them a little
I,
homage too. But I love everywhere I work. I'm grateful for every place that allows me to work for them. So, but just
absolutely.
gotta do little shout outs.
Absolutely. But we got to give the UK a nudge, maybe over like
Yeah.
Kissimmee. No disrespect to Kissimmee. We all love Disney, but
Yeah. Well, CCW runs there. I did work in Kissimmee a couple times, so but that actually was a crazy crowd too. But it's just the different places you work. It's so interesting. Like the rec centers are different from bar shows. They're all different from high school, like high school gyms. It's all different. So
yeah, for
it's
sure.
really fun. And I've gotten to work in the Midwest, like a couple of times and maybe a couple of times soon. So that's also different too. So it's just so interesting to work all these promotions and all these areas and see how it differs. And you got to change your wrestling style for that too. So
Yeah. Perfect. You are the segue queen. Such a perfect segue.
love
How
that.
how would you describe, and I swear this was going to be the question anyway,
I believe
how
you.
would you describe your wrestling style? Obviously, I've met you. We're not even going to kayfabe it. You are a sweetheart of a
Oh,
person,
thanks.
but in the ring, you're just a terrible heel. What do you prefer? Do you prefer playing that snarky, I'm hotter than you heel? Do you like being a baby face? What do you prefer?
So for me, when I started my career, I was terrified to be a heel because I I did it's so much, how do I word this? I was terrified to be a heel because a heel is mostly in control of the entire match. And obviously when you're in the beginning of your career, you're not like that comfortable. And the first time I ever was booked to be a heel, I was like, this is me. Like it just kind of I kind of fell into the ability to be a heel, and I enjoy being a heel. However, so I would say 9 times out of 10, if you book me as a heel, I'm gonna that's kind of what I prefer. However, the like once a month, once every 2 months that I get to be a baby face, I'm like, this is what it feels like to be loved. It's like such a good feeling. So like, when I was in the UK, I wrestled 5 matches. 4 out of the 5 matches I was a heel. The one match I was a baby face, and it was the last match of the tour. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a great way to end it because it feels so good to have the fans behind you. But I feel like for me, it's so much easier to get a fan to hate you than it is to get a fan to love you. Because I can go up to you and be like, your boyfriend was in my DMs last night. And then the girl's going to be like, ah, and then everyone's going to be so mad at you. So I feel like it's so much easier to get the crowd into you. And I always get enjoyment out of making everybody like my baby face that I'm wrestling. So if the match starts and they're not sure if we're both new or they're not sure who to like, if I can get by the time, I'm starting to wail on her, if I can get them behind her, or by the time the match is at the end of the match and they're so behind her, like that's rewarding to me. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'd say I prefer to be a heel, but I'll do anything they need me to do.
I love it. Such a great attitude too.
Thank you.
We got to get you booked up here in the Carolinas. We're going to work on that after this
I
podcast.
need to. I need to. That is a place that I've been wanting to work, and so if you can get me there, we'll
I
very
know a,
appreciate it.
I know a guy. We'll talk afterwards.
Love that.
Um, have you faced, maybe, obviously at the level you're at, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not NXT, it's not Performance Center,
Mhm.
it's not, you know, have you faced any unexpected challenges along the way in this indie grind that maybe, you've had to overcome?
Nothing that I can fully think of. It's the rejection is honestly the biggest
Yes.
thing. Is like and different skill levels. So like when you start to feel like you're on like a roll, like so I'll talk about like the rejections. I'm not saying like I'm not getting like straight up no's. It's more of the you reach out and you get no response and you're like, well, that's fun. But it happens. It's not like always expected
Yes,
to
it
get a response
happens.
because there's so many other people that are reaching out to the promotions. It's so because I talk to promoters that I work for consistently and they're like, we get so many messages all the time. So then when you hear that, you're like, okay. So they're not just like looking at me and being like, no, I don't like her. It's more of they have to pick and choose who they're gonna, want to put
Right.
on their show. So that's been like a big thing that is hard to overcome. But then you have those obstacles where it's like then finally you get a big opportunity like the UK or something that's coming up for me that I can't unfortunately speak on right now because it hasn't been announced. But those opportunities and you're like, this is what it's all been for. Like you get all these rejections or you get all these ignores and then you're like, but this person didn't and this is a big deal. So that's a big thing. And then the skill levels, because sometimes, you know, you'll be on a roll, you'll be wrestling somebody who you're working great, and then you get into a match where it might not go the best, and then it kind of gets you down, and you're like, well, what did I do wrong? And then you're watching it back, you're like, okay, well, I messed that up, messed that up, messed that up, but at the end of the day, it's just the skill levels because you have and or the chemistry in wrestling is very important.
For sure.
And so if you don't have chemistry with an opponent, it's not going to go right. It's not going to go great. And but that's what training and constantly, watching and getting your tape study. That's what tape study is really
Yes.
important. And not only on your own wrestling, but wrestling in general. So those are
For
probably the biggest
sure.
obstacles I'd say. I'd say that I will shout out all the promotions I work for. All of the guys in the locker room have been super respectful. So, because I know a lot of girls go through that, but I will say I have
Yeah.
been grateful enough to not have to deal with disrespectful locker rooms from the men too. So,
Well, that's terrific to hear. Obviously,
yeah.
that's a nice breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Um,
Hey, you. Yeah, watching this right now. I see you. If you're enjoying what you're watching, I've got one quick favor to ask, and it only takes a second, costs you nothing, and makes a huge difference. If you could go ahead and hit that like button, maybe drop a comment. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Doesn't seem like much, but for small creators, it's everything. So let's help more people find this channel and keep the content coming. And honestly, I'm pretty sure the podcast will be really grateful. So if you're having fun, you like what you see, make it official, click those buttons, and the Fans View podcast, we'll see you next time.
How important is fan support to you? Obviously, professional wrestling doesn't happen without fans.
Yeah.
What has been, do you have like if I asked you for your most memorable fan interaction, is there a story that pops in your head?
Honestly, yes, and now that like I haven't really thought of that, but when you say that, yeah, there was a promotion I worked for, and I was ironic. I'm a heel. I was a heel at that promotion, and that there was a little girl who came and she made a little drawing of me, and I thought that that was something that was really sweet because it's like it's hard for me to be mean at the merch table, I'm not gonna lie. Because because at the end of the day, it's all about like it's all about the fans. You're there. It's not just all about the fan, but the interaction and everything. So yeah, I'd say most of my most memorable interactions with fans tend to be with the children, and like when the parent or whoever they're with will come up to you and be like, she came just because she wanted to see you. That's one of those moments where you're like, so
Yeah.
sweet. So, but I find fan interaction really important. I do interact with a lot of my fans, not just at shows. Um, they'll follow me on socials. I have a Discord server and stuff like that. A lot of my fans came from, because we were talking about this before we went live, with Twitch. So a lot of my fans, I have a very supportive fan base, even though I don't do Twitch a lot anymore, from Twitch. They have been very consistent. They've been very loyal to me. So I would say that's really important. But yeah, I find I enjoy interacting with the fans at the merch tables. I've had fans make me, I have it's in my stream room, but I have a little thing where it's like a title belt and I said, "Let's go, Emily." And like she hand diamond painted it, excuse me. And then I had another fan like print a giant poster of a photo of me. So, and that's hanging up. So it's good to know that like I've made an impact on some
Yeah.
people, even if I'm not being nice to them. It's a crazy feeling. I love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. To kind of look towards the future a little bit, is there a promotion maybe that you have kind of it's on your radar that you'd love to debut for? Maybe by the end of 2025, going into 2026.
Any promotion that's on TV, to be honest with you. I That's kind of the goal. I'm trying to go like in an uphill. And I feel like my career has gone that way, so I feel like the next big step is anywhere on TV. It doesn't matter. Just I want to be on TV. Like I've done local TV, so I'm thinking more of like a national level. That's kind of my next goal. So I work for three promotions that have had local TV. So the next promotion would be on a more national level. Because yesterday I worked for a promotion and they do live, on YouTube and Facebook, and it was WWN in Florida, and it was cool because like I was just talking about, my Twitch fans were like, this was so cool to be able to throw you up on my TV and you were there and you were wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's going to be happening so soon. So my biggest goal is national TV soon.
I love that. So one of the three-letter companies is really what's on the radar.
Of course.
Hey, and who could blame you there? Um, so one question I want to ask you that I love to ask when I bring a female talent on is advice. For any young women or fans in general,
Mhm.
that dream of breaking into the business, what advice would you give them from your perspective?
Find a good trainer is the biggest advice I would say. Do your research, because there are so many good trainers, but there are also not good trainers either. So I would say the wrestling school is the biggest advice I would give to anybody. Go to a place where you know that they're going to educate you on everything that comes to professional wrestling. I would say my training was one of the best trainings because they took the time to like teach us why we're doing the things that we're doing. Not this is a neck breaker. This is how you do a neck breaker. It's why we're doing this. Psychology is super big. And then I would also say a big thing is to be willing to travel because that's a big thing. Getting
Yeah.
out there, that once you get your name out there, it's just gonna skyrocket for you. And I would also say don't give up. It's going to be hard. And with women, there's not as much competition as the men. However, the
Right.
good women get picked up so quickly. So don't give up if you see, someone pass, just keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Work on your and also continue to go to training. Even I have had to like try different wrestling schools, and there's nothing. It's just because my school was closed, so I had to find a different training school. So just find a new school if something happens, or if you don't feel comfortable at your wrestling school, find a new one. Good gear is also very important. I feel that's what I know the TV promotions look for is
Yes.
good gear. Probably make sure you always have a nice pair of boots too. I've always been a boots girl, but yeah. And yeah, I would say that's my biggest advice. But yeah, the training school is the biggest thing. Find a good school with a good reputation and good trainers. And if you're in Florida, I mean, you're going to have tons of options.
Yeah, app for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, you spit in Florida, you're gonna hit 8 schools in a
Exactly.
2-mile radius.
Yes.
Well, obviously, Emily, this is the Fans View podcast, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask you
Mhm.
when you're not, in DMs turning down people's boyfriends and kicking ass in the ring. What are you a fan of?
Okay. I enjoy basketball. I'm a basketball fan. Obviously, I enjoy watching wrestling, not just like indie wrestling. I enjoy watching wrestling. I'm a Harry Potter fan, obviously, with my cat's
What
Butterbeer.
house? What house?
I'm a Hufflepuff. So I mean, I feel
That's
like
okay.
Emily should be. Emily would be a Slytherin, but like me, I'm a Hufflepuff.
I like
Um,
that.
yeah,
like that.
and then I'm a huge Coraline fan. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I've watched that movie. I enjoy Nightmare Before Christmas. Then usually every evening, the way I like to wind down is I'm either coloring, like those adult coloring books. I do diamond painting. That is one of my absolute favorite things to do. It's one of those things where it's like you can just turn off your brain and just plop those diamonds down. I've completed probably about 15 to 20 diamond paintings, and every time I just enjoy it so much. And I've slowly, like just recently realized I think I'm gonna like Legos, so I might be jumping into Legos. But so I do like those silly little hobbies. I find
Goodness.
I get so many new hobbies. It's crazy, but but the thing that I've always stuck with is diamond painting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. That's very unique. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Last but not least, and this is my favorite question to ask everybody, because when I started this podcast, it was because like I want people to get to know not just wrestlers, but like MMA athletes and all the people that I have on. I want to get to know them beyond just their genre of work, and I feel like this really encapsulates that. And that question is, at this point, not just in your career, it doesn't have to be wrestling centric, but in life as well. What does success mean to you?
That's a good question. I would say success means to me, meeting the goals that you have set for yourself. So whether it be in your work life or like your relationships, your wrestling life, it's you set a goal for yourself and you have met that goal or you have exceeded that goal to the point where you can make a new goal for yourself. So for example, if my goal is at the beginning of my career is to get outside of Florida, well, I've met that goal. I was successful, so let me set a new goal. So I would say just meeting the goals that you set for yourself and being able to make new goals for yourself would be what I call success. That would just be, a little rough way to say it. You might You might be muted.
I'm going to take the L on that
It's
one.
all good.
I
As if
love
you're
that
talking.
answer. Yeah, let me try that one again. I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm just going to leave that in because duh. This is what happens, folks. This is podcasting in a nutshell.
Yes.
I love that answer, first of all. I really appreciate, how genuine that answer is. Before I let you go, I have to ask you, where can people get a hold of you? You spoke about a Discord and Twitch and your socials. Lay it all out there. What do you got for us?
All right. So all of my socials, so Instagram, Facebook, and X/Twitter is at I'm Emily Locke. I'm on YouTube, but you can search Emily Locke, and I've got a YouTube channel. Ironically, the day that we're recording this, I just posted a new one. We do Exodus Road
Love it.
diaries. So we like to vlog on the road, and if I do say so myself, they're pretty entertaining. So that would be a good place. If you want to follow me on Twitch, you can twitch.tv/Emily Locke. I'm not sure when I'll be back on, but don't worry, I'm not giving up on the Twitch. And then I do have a Discord, so the Discord is connected on the Twitch. I think it's just Emily Locke. I'm not going to be fully on. I'm not 100%. But yeah. But yeah.
Well, I am so glad that we can make this work. Hopefully, this is the first of many appearances on the Fans View.
Of course.
I am certainly an Emily Locke fan. Before I got to know your hobbies, excuse me, I was already a fan, but now you've got me hooked. So,
Well, thank you. See, I'm a lovable heel. It works.
you are the most lovable heel I've had on thus far, for sure.
Thank
With the
you.
best background. So you're just over here crushing, breaking barriers.
I'm winning everywhere.
You are the Charlie Sheen of the Fans View podcast. You are just winning.
It.
Well, thank you, Emily. Thank you so much for coming on. Guys, make sure to go support Emily. Go check out the YouTube channel as soon as you're done watching this YouTube channel and give her a subscription. And go support her. Go talk a little crap to her when she's being a dastardly heel. And once a month when she's a baby face, maybe clap for her and go buy some merch.
You can clap for me when I'm a heel too, though.
Do you have a big cartel or anywhere that you sell like 8x10s or t-shirts or anything?
I have a Pro Wrestling Tees website, so you can look up Emily Locke on Pro Wrestling Tees, and I've got a couple of prints on there. I need to work on the big cartel, to be honest with you. I don't do any 8x10s online. But you can buy my 8x10s at my merch table, so you just got to come to a show.
There you go. There you go. Well, like I said, Emily, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll have you on again in the near future.
Thank you.
Guys, like I said, make sure to go give her a like, a follow, a subscription on YouTube, all the things. Like, follow, subscribe, all the things here at the Fans View Podcast. And don't forget, most importantly, guys, don't forget to call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.